Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday night. It's 9 p.m. That means it's time for What's on Joe Mind. We are a fan cast about the world of G.I. Joe. I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. How's everybody doing?
We're all right.
All right.
Excellent.
I always wish we could listen to more of the theme song because I like our theme song. But YouTube tells me that everybody tunes out when I let it play too long. So and then I had to cut it down to like 25 seconds.
What does YouTube know?
I don't know. They certainly don't know how to plug the damn show.
That cost them money.
Should have wore that shirt. Damn.
Anyhow, here in the top row, he is exhausted from another week of being a shiftless layabout. I think he went to the comic book store today. That's a busy day right there, isn't it, kids? It's rack time, Rob.
Hello, everybody. The comics are not in reach. I was going to go, look what I got.
That's they're not in here, so
no, they're in here. I basically, there.
Joe ARAH, he's got the right idea. He's saying smash that like button. It's never too early, and it's completely free. We stopped charging you for that like 100 episodes ago. That should make you even more likely to, right? We made that free.
It's unlimited. You can do it as much as you want.
No, just the once. Because then on the even number times you'd be unliking.
Oh.
So you only just the once. Just the once is fine.
All right.
But Dagon says, sorry, gang, I got high school summer ball and the boy is a starting second baseman. Well, okay.
All right.
I can get behind that. That was Willie Randolph's spot. But we appreciate you, Dagon. Have a wonderful show. We plan to. Greg Augustin says, I smashed the like button so hard I broke my thumb like 82 grunt. And then Josiah Alcorn, wow, both call sign Longbow guys on the same show. I don't think that's quite true. We are missing the original Johnny Kooks. But I suppose we got one of the Longbow guys and one of the Longbow accessory guys. But anyways, we'll start with him down in the bottom left. One of the co-founders of Grindstone Toys. He is a regular in our guest host rotation, and the guy bringing you call sign Longbow at some point later this year. Troy McKee on the program.
Hey, everybody.
Troy, what you been doing since the last time we caught up with you?
Working. Posting Kickstarter updates, because that's like a huge part of my life.
Your favorite thing to do, I'm sure.
Yeah. I work on them literally for like a week and a half before we post them. So yeah, I've been doing that and doing toy stuff that I can't talk about. So anyway, that's not very interesting.
Not at all. No, I'm sure that you casting, everything behind a big Oz-like curtain and saying to everyone, no, look that way. Don't look over here. Look over there. Don't pay any attention to what's going on over here. That doesn't make anyone want to know what you're doing.
Everything in its due time.
Are you doing a package design stuff, or are we talking just all Longbow stuff?
No. Some new stuff. So
okay.
And then on the bottom right corner,
I tried to get a nugget out of you.
In the bottom right, you recognize him as one of the co-hosts of the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast. He is the founder of Mark II Design, and he's got his dirty little mitts in just about every independent project you can think of. Mark Gerwig back on the program.
Hey.
Round of applause for Mark Gerwig. So far, pre-show, we have had no issues with Mark's internet.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, we are truly looking the gift horse in the mouth. You have teenage kids.
Yeah.
So at any point, that bandwidth is gone.
And my wife. So they're all on multiple devices. They can't just have a computer. They got the computer and the phone and the TV, and they're all streaming movies and books. So
they're streaming the they're watching you. They're in the room with you and streaming you on the TV at the same time, right?
No, they don't care about me.
That's right.
My mom might be
Ah,
watching.
whatever.
She's pretty good about
All right.
jumping on the podcast that I guest on.
All right. Well, welcome, Mrs. Gerwig. But how have you? What have you been up to since the last time we talked to you?
Just working, man. I not like recently I finished. I did a cheetah for Operation Recall, and I think Carson posted some pics of that. And that was a interesting pain in the ass.
That voice that you had there. That was a. I hope he doesn't ask me any questions because I'm so long without my booze. Was it?
Oh,
No, I'm getting better at the organic sculpting, and I use ZBrush for that. And I've gotten friendly with Carter the Conqueror, James Carter, who's just one of the most talented people on the planet, and so he's kind of my go-to now when I get stuck with ZBrush, which is a monster of a program.
Right.
And then I've got several other lines where I need to get some stuff done because people want stuff to show off at all the summer shows, and I'm just coming right up to the razor's edge of getting everything done.
You're dicking around on what's on Joe Mind. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm trying to be involved in my family's life too.
Right.
what?
God
Yeah.
forbid.
I know.
They're starting to take cardboard cutouts of you at all the family functions.
Well, I mean, that's what they used to do. I was gone. I was gone for a long time. So I'm happy to be home, and I'm trying to just do as much as I can
Right.
with the
I mean,
kids while they're still kids.
It's always forgivable. We tease, but that's the way it should go, man.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. But the live chat is playing Hollywood Squares, so we're gonna mix up format a little bit tonight. Troy has got to run tonight, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk call sign Longbow booth and his plans for Joe Fest and maybe Dallas and the next couple of weeks, and then we're gonna let Troy go. Then we're gonna do news, and then in hour number 2, we'll get to Mark and his upcoming ventures, and maybe even a look around Dr. Mark's 3D lab of horrors. So
Curiosities.
right, 3D lab of curiosities. I like that much better. Or no, that's good. I don't think I'm gonna be able to top that, so we'll stick with it. Dr. Mark's 3D lab of curiosities. Anyways. Troy McKay. What everybody's talking about are coins, man. Why would people be talking about coins with you?
So we are doing a promotion at Joe Fest and at DFW. And let me bring up a picture here while we're talking about it.
Okay. Let me get this working for you.
Can I present? Can I share?
Yes.
Okay.
Pulse pounding live broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it works.
Maybe. If I can make this work.
Rob,
There we
quick,
go.
pick
All
your
right,
nose or something.
So,
I'm gonna start dancing.
yeah, coins. Everybody likes coins. So we wanted to do something fun where we could kind of get some engagement with folks and do something fun at shows where there was kind of a scavenger hunt feel to it. And we wanted to give away some product. So what we came up with were these reinforcement coins. So they look kind of like a challenge coin. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to shows, and there might be different ways that you might come into contact with one of these coins if you're at a show. You might get them in a booth. You might find them somewhere around the hotel. We might give one to you in the bar at night, or, one of the guests of the show, one of the special guests may give you one. But if you get one of these coins, what you can do is you can bring it back to the Longbow booth, and we will give you a free figure in exchange for returning that coin. So for this first show, Right now, the only figure we have in stock is Ghost, so you can come and exchange it for Ghost. But we also have some of the Skeletron Retro Wolf Troopers, because we worked on those for our friends over at Skeletron. So we will have some of those if you would rather have one of those. If you are a Kickstarter or backer kit backer and you bring one of these coins, you can exchange that and we will add the figure of your choice to your pre-order. So it doesn't have to be one that we have in stock. We could just add it to your order that you're currently waiting on. The only caveat with that is you have to have an open order with us. If we've already completely fulfilled your order, obviously that doesn't really work. But if you've got an order that we're still waiting to fulfill, we can add stuff to it.
Or maybe you can throw in a pack of those battle stands.
If you would like battle stands, we'll trade you a coin for battle stands. We'll trade you a coin for a comic. If you don't want to figure, we've got other stuff. But I assume that most toy nerds are gonna jump on the free action figures. So
right. Matt Rubin asks, what happens if you want to keep the coin as a souvenir? Well, I guess...
I mean, you can do that. I think we'd prefer if you brought it back, just because we're going to need to use it again at another show in the future. But we're not really going to know who gets them, so there is that.
Right. He's found the hole in your plan, Troy.
Yeah.
You're trying to cater to toy nerds here, Troy, but what if you found coin nerds?
Yeah.
Or them like pennies.
The figures are a better deal, I promise.
See, Gene Fleming, he agrees. Will there be any way to buy these coins later on? I'm a sick, weird person. I'd rather have the coin than a figure.
Not these particular coins. If there was enough demand, we'd be willing to look at doing coins, but not these particular coins.
Josiah Alcorn says, wonderful timing. Troy is on. We're about a month away from a Kentucky G.I. Joe show. Perfect time to fit in a plug for the most innovative call sign longbow feature. And that is, of course, Thickeny Crotch, bro. I never take it down. I just have to.
I was going to say, where's my? There it is.
There's the Troy crawl.
There it is.
I snuck it. It's in between. We had Justin Bell on a couple weeks ago. I snuck it in between Super Bowl score tickers.
Oh, gotcha.
So we had to find it. Had to pick it out. Because we never forget, Troy. We never.
That's
ever
all right.
But yeah, see, Joe ARH, Troy just got turned on to a new side hustle, coins for sickos.
Hey,
perfect.
If the sickos need coins that bad, somebody's got to fill that gap in the market.
Look, I think you've just got the title of your next Kickstarter.
There you go, coins for sickos.
But,
we would probably do great with that on a crowdfunding site. That would.
Coins for sickos.
There's some weird stuff on Kickstarter sometimes. I actually think that might work.
Yeah.
There was the guy who funded several $1,000s worth of potato salad, right? Back in the early days.
It wasn't even early days. He just put up a Kickstarter for $10 to make potato salad, and people pledged something like $3,000 to make potato salad.
Yeah. And
he wound up. I believe he wound up. I think it was a toss-up between returning the money or donating it to charity, and I think charity won.
Oh,
you're right. He didn't just pocket money for potato salad.
I think that was the wrong move. He could have put that in some kind of investment, and the dividend, every quarter would have been enough to make probably potato salad, and he could have had potato salad every quarter.
Perpetual potato salad.
Oh, enough to farm like a half acre of potatoes, and just going to keep going.
Right. Well, this coin bit, Troy. I'm sure our friend Gary Head is looking back from whatever side of the void he is on, and beaming with great pride.
I gotta tell you, I'm familiar with the thick crotch But calling it the most innovative feature of call sign longbow, I was unfamiliar with that reference. Because in my head, I thought we were talking about the shields that you could hide behind. And now I'm wondering if you can hide the thick crotch behind the shield.
I mean, the idea is if the crotch is thick enough, you should never be able to hide it, right?
Right. It would, because it would just be bumping the shield into everything.
Yeah.
So, well, and this is where it all went wrong.
Now
Timestamp.
that's ruined.
Timestamp
me.
1552.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You can still buy thicken the crotch T-shirts on the What's on Joe Mind. On the T Public store? Is that where you get those?
That is correct. If you go down the T Public shop, the swag shop at T Public, thicken the crotch call sign longbow T-shirts are there, waiting for you. They go on sale later this week, so we'll have more information on that later. So don't do it tonight. Do it later in the week. It'll be right. $16. It'll be right there for you. Mark's bookmarking it now. I can see.
I want to see the T-shirt. I'm looking it up.
Okay. All right. link in the description down below.
Yeah.
But the Gunny says he's doing cookies for Joe Fest. So if you find the
he did last year.
What's that now?
He did a cake last year, right?
Yeah, Gunny did the hummingbird cake. Yes.
Yeah, hummingbird cake.
That was good cake, wasn't it?
It was.
You guys are over there just eating it with your fingers.
No, we bought plastic silverware. But the folks who had like pocket knives and stuff, we let them cut their own slab. Troy was afraid of the cake. Troy did not eat the cake.
It's not that I was afraid of the cake. I was suspicious of the cake.
There came a point where it just smelled too good, and so I buckled first. I was like, I got to try this cake. And I'm glad I did, because it was incredible. And I'm sure there's like a chip in there where the Gunny has known every place I've been since, tracking me like a squirrel around the yard.
The Gunny is bored.
Right. Josiah Alcorn is correct. Tie-dye is an option for the thicken the crotch T-shirt. Tie-dye is an option on any What's on Joe Mind design, but that one is certainly there for you. You get Lancer and the Krasny Ninja pointing to the thicken the crotch in tie-dye.
Oh, the ninja with the hat is on. Oh man,
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's the best 30 seconds of T-shirt design I've ever done in my life. I didn't have to. I worked hard on almond milk. I didn't work that hard on thicken the crotch, but they've both sold about the same amount. So you tell me what that means. The Gunny says, would a retired Marine harm you? Is like, no, because I wasn't trying to harm him first. That was ultimately the logic. I was like, this man's a veteran. This man served our country. He's not going to kill us with cake. So I had some cake. And asking the important questions, Andrew Galgan, what kind of cookies? Not going to be there, but I'm curious. I'm curious too. We're not going to be there either. But Troy will be there, and he might want some cookies from the Gunny. As we know, the Gunny was in the Marines as a baker.
And now that I know that Mike ate the cake and he didn't die, I'm not going to be nearly as suspicious of the cookies.
Right. I mean, look,
not nearly, but still a little bit.
I'll still probably have John try one before I indulge.
Well, there you go.
Right. That's still more of just a Troy failing. So take that as a win. So,
I prefer to always have a food taster check everything out for me first.
There you go.
Game of Thrones did strange things to Troy. So, Troy, just in the last couple of days, I know that you also had one of your monthly updates. Why don't you give the folks at home a taste of that while you're here?
So, yeah, we did have a product development update. We received images of some painted samples from the factory. So about a month before, can't remember if it's the month before or 2 months before, we had gotten some unpainted first shot samples out of the tooling. And the way that the process works is first they send you the first shots, they're unpainted. You inspect them. you send back notes to the factory, and then they make corrections on the figure. So there's lots of, and it's a normal part of the process. This is a thing that happens on every product you buy, every action figure. So we made some notes, and they were, little things like, the upper legs didn't close up around the T-hook quite right. There was a gap there. If the hands, were a weird size or something. There's, stuff like that. How the accessories, how the backpacks fit on the back. We have a knife that can be held in the backpacks. Was that too tight? Was that too loose? Those kind of things. So we had sent those notes back, and they've made those corrections. And now our factory rep sent us some pictures of new samples. And these samples have most of those corrections that we asked for, but they also have paint, which is an additional step in the process. That means that they have begun to paint or cut paint masks for production.
Nice.
So the way that works for anybody that's not familiar is a paint mask is, it's like a piece of metal, and what they do is they cut out, where they want the paint to be on the figure, and you hold the figure part up in there, and then they run a spray gun over it, and it works like a stencil, right? And it just paints the part you want painted. But that's a whole separate process that also has to be checked, right? We have to make sure that the paint's correct, that it, fits where it's supposed to fit, that it's not overspraying somewhere, we're not getting paint where we don't want it, those kind of things. And then if we don't have them in hand yet, we've only seen pictures, but they will send us those painted samples, and then we will inspect them. And that's when we'll check things like to make sure that the color is correct and things like that. So anyway, we did have some of those. We showed a picture of some painted Lancer samples, but that was only half of the picture. So I'm going to show the whole picture here for you guys. So you're going to see something that wasn't even in the update.
A What's on Joe Mind exclusive.
Yeah. So it wasn't all of what was in, or part of it was in the update, but you're going to see some additional items here. So we showed Lancer, but also we have Outlaw there, so you can see what that figure is going to look like. He is missing a couple of parts in this picture. He also comes with a satchel, and there's a canister that goes on the end of the gas mask. But those figures are there, and as you can see, there are multiples of each one. It's not just that they painted one. When they do these, they will run a few of them so that we can look at multiple figures and see, if there's a problem. Is there a problem with all of them? Is there only a problem on one of them? Because sometimes paint drips, you get weird little variations. So it's just good to look at a handful of samples anytime you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Because anybody can do something right once.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. We want to see consistency on it. So
right.
Yeah.
They look really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait for this, man. I'm so looking forward to Call Sign Longbow. It's not even funny. So seeing them. Go ahead.
We're looking forward to getting them to everybody. So.
You'd better be anyway. Right.
Well, it's either that or they're in his garage. So
Right. they're taking up space and killing his daughter's college fund. But,
so anyway, that was our big news, and that's a big step for us that they are cutting those paint masks, because that's not necessarily the end of the process, but that's getting closer to completion, right? Like that's an additional milestone where we're not just doing plastic now, we're doing plastic, we're doing deco. We've already had the packaging art finished, but that's a separate kind of parallel process for packaging. So yeah.
I got the wrong Fleming there with the comment. And Gene Fleming wants to know why the upper legs weren't closing. What did you have that figured out, or? Yeah,
so there's a couple of reasons why that might happen, and honestly, yeah, we saw it on a couple of figures, and I don't know that it was necessarily the same problem across the board. Anytime that you've got ABS plastic and ABS plastic coming together, those are really like tiny tolerances. because that's a hard plastic and it doesn't flex. And that leads to its own set of problems where those might not close up. So that's one set of issues. In addition to that, there's the ball for the metal T-hook in there, which if the cavity on the inside or the outside of the leg isn't quite the right size, could also prevent it from closing up. So, you know, we don't really know necessarily what that issue is. We just tell the factory that it needs to get fixed. They go back to the steel tooling and they start tweaking it till they can get it to fit tighter. So, but like I said, we had multiple figures, and I don't know that it was necessarily the same issue on all of them, because we had multiple sets of tooling. Even the guys that had the same sets of legs, it's probably the same problem. But then, you know, Outlaw and Lancer have different legs. The Krosny Ninja has different legs. So we just have to repeat that process with each of those parts.
It's the science side of it. You're not your art side. You don't deal with that.
Well, and that's what you have factory reps for,
right,
to help you with that piece of it. You know, one of the other issues we had is the gas mask was a little too big, so we had to have them make some adjustments to the gas mask so it would fit Outlaw's head a little better. You know, those kind of things. There are all kinds of fit issues. It doesn't matter how many times you've 3D printed it and you've done prototypes. Once they start cutting tooling at the factory, new problems can arise because they're physically cutting steel. And if anything's slightly off when they do that, then you get a problem. So we do a lot of design and 3D printing and testing. But then once we get to the factory, we kind of have to redo some of that stuff.
Gene, of course, here's the kicker. Thank you for the explanation. It was interesting, but I was trying to set up another thicken the crotch comment. Well, that's what's on Joe Mine fans for you.
That is.
I've trained them well. I feel like I've accomplished something tonight. I have not broken the unflappable Mark Gerwig though, and that makes me a little.
He's got to think about this. You know, work his way in.
We must ponder. So, Troy, we're coming up on the end of your time. What else do we need to know that you haven't told us yet?
So we are going to be at both Joe Fest and DFW. At Joe Fest, we'll be there. We'll have Ghost in stock. Like I said, we'll have a couple of Skeletron Wolf Troopers, but we'll be set up in the same spot we were in last year at Joe Fest, right there on the corner when you come in. Doug Hart is going to be at the show again this year. He'll be splitting time between our booth and the Operation Recall booth, but you can come meet Doug. Doug did all of our packaging art. For anybody that doesn't know, Doug did a lot of the painting on vintage Real American Hero G.I. Joe. I believe the first G.I. Joe thing he painted was the Night Raven packaging art.
Wow.
Yeah, and he did some vehicle stuff when Hector was still kind of doing some stuff on the line. Carson probably knows way better than I do the details, but Doug was an in-house artist, and he eventually wound up doing pretty much all of Joe. Like I want to say, like after '89, he did most of Joe. He did all the Battle Corps stuff, all the Ninja Force stuff, but he also did stuff on Visionaries and Air Raiders and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and Stargate and all kinds of stuff. So he'll be at Augusta for Joe Fest. So we're going to do that show, and John and I will both be there. And then we are going to be at DFW, and John and I will both be there at that show. At that show, we are sponsoring Kirk at the show. So you know, come meet Kirk if you haven't already. He was the vice president of Boys Toys at Hasbro, I think, is what he.
I think that's where he eventually wound up.
Yeah. He was a brand manager on G.I. Joe, and then he worked his way up. But I think that was his kind of highest title there. So,
and for the folks who are not in the know, Joe Fest is the 20th through the 22nd, and then the Dallas DFW Joe Show is the 28th and the 29th, the following weekend. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So
yeah. Last year they were on the same day, so I went to. Or the same weekend. So I went to Augusta to Joe Fest. John went to DFW. This year they're a week apart, so we're gonna both be able to go to both shows. So
having your daughter pelt passing passersby with small candies.
Everybody should have fun.
But
Did she get a slingshot for Christmas?
Kid's got an arm on her.
Yeah,
She doesn't need a slingshot.
Doesn't need it. Or doesn't need it. All right.
Does not need it.
We had a bucket of candy. I said, you got to get rid of the candy. Throw it at those guys.
Right.
Again, I will point out that the exact quote was "light these fools up."
Yeah. I mean, speaking as a former first baseman, yeah, she's got an arm. I'm used to having people throw stuff at me, and that was pretty good for a young one. But the Gunny wants everybody to know cookies will be, come on, computer, Quint chocolate, spicy snickerdoodles, chocolate chip, sun-kissed orange cranberry, which I bet is the sleeper hit, and chunky peanut butter. So you go.
That's quite the assortment.
Yeah, you need to be hitting up the call sign Longbow booth there, Gunny. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't sound like there's a one of them I wouldn't try.
I'm telling you,
pretty good.
sun-kissed orange cranberry. I bet you it's the sleeper hit. Sleeper hit. Not things that people associate with cookies very often, but I'll bet you the Gunny makes that special. But Nowhere Man-Child, our friend Jeff says, I look forward to meeting you in person at DFW, Troy. Be careful. Make sure there's police present.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right.
You just have to meet John first. John always has to
There you
go first.
go.
He's the original Johnny Kooks. He's deserved. He earned it, right? He's earned it. You're just Troy McKee. He's the original Johnny Kooks. Okay. Oh God. Did I mention how tired I am?
He's tired.
Oh my.
Tired of playing the game.
Oh my goodness. If anybody has just a couple of minutes or a quick question for Troy in the last minute or two he's got with us. Troy, after DFW, what's the plan for the rest of the year?
I really hope we're shipping figures. That's my plan. Aside from that, the next show that we know we're going to be at is we will be at Assembly Required in November.
All right.
Because that is kind of our quasi home show. So.
All right. I should be at Assembly Required with you this year.
You should be.
And I believe I will have Joe Slepsky in tow from Joe on Joe podcast. So Gene Fleming wants to know any plan for more comic issues?
Yeah, so issue 2 is let's see, we are done with all the penciling and inking on issue 2. The colors have been flatted out, and I know that some of the pages they've gone through all the shading. But I actually asked for an update the other day and I haven't heard back yet. But issue 2 is coming. And it's going to focus a little more on the Soviet side of things. We introduced a lot of the Longbow characters in issue 1. We're going to introduce some of Volk's team in issue 2. But we're working with the team at Broken Icon on that one again. And they've been working on that. So. And
is the Hind still planned?
I mean, I would love to do a Hind. I know Delta 17 was planning on doing a Hind. And we'd love to, do a redeco of that at some point if they'd be open to that. I know we've had, some conversations about that, but I don't know what their timeline looks like. We would love to get into vehicles, but until we get this first batch of figures out, we're not focusing on anything else
right.
until we get that done. So
right, good plan. Yeah. Can't put the cart in front of the horse, rather.
No, we got to deliver on this stuff first and foremost. That's where our attention is.
And Josiah Alcorn is a What's on Joe Mind fan. You're not going to fit the KY GI Joe show in the next month. There we go. That's one of our guys right there.
We'll talk.
You're not going to slide on into Kentucky. Come on. Anyways, Troy, we'll let you go on that, man. I know you got a lot going on. You got a lot of work to accomplish in the next week and a half.
We got a lot going on here before these two shows. So
I again, unfortunately, we won't be making the trip this year, but have a safe journey. Give our best to the original Johnny Kooks and the family, and we'll certainly I know we'll see you online before then, but we'll definitely see you in November.
Yep, absolutely, guys.
Have a good rest of the evening, sir. We appreciate
thanks,
your
guys.
time.
I appreciate you having me on.
See you in a couple of weeks, Troy.
See ya.
Yeah, Mark's super cool guy. He gets to go to Joe Fest this year.
I almost wasn't. I'd come to peace with not going. I just had too much going on, and then a couple things changed. And so Chris Scott, who I did the custom class at Joe Fest with last year, he had some things change, and so he asked if there was any way I could come and help him out in his booth, and I checked with my boss, and she said it'd be fine. So.
All right,
So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. I checked with my boss, and he was like, "You still work here?" Anyways.
Yeah.
Not for much longer now that he knows.
Yeah. It's unfortunately it's far too close to the truth. Anyways, what do you say? We get to the news. Well, I gotta. Since Troy presented some slides, I gotta get ours ready again. I didn't know it took off.
Wow, that's an old one.
Yeah. I left the first slide from the first of the year on there, so that it would always be there in case something got funky with the downloads. But okay, I think we're ready now. First news item. Go ahead, Mark. You're the guest. If you want to do the dudes, you get to do the dudes.
Did you guys stop doing the
No. We do the dudes. But if you want to do the dudes, then we're gonna give you.
I want
to
do chorus. I thought we were doing it together.
Oh well.
If you want community dudes, then go ahead, Rob.
All right.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Jesus.
We rehearsed this.
Yeah.
We did not rehearse this.
We rehearsed this like Dean Martin used to. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I haven't had that much to drink. Jesus.
Right.
he never went to rehearsal.
Right. Couple of cocktails and roll in 5 minutes before showtime. That's the What's on Joe Mind way.
Right off the 18th fairway.
Oh, up now at codenameiowa.com. You can choose the Joe team that you are going to use as your advance for your assault on Cobra Island. Polls are now open. Choose your 6-man squad. Some of this voting is actually pretty tight. Basically, what you're doing, you're choosing the 6 Joes who are going to be in all the promotional art for this year's Assembly Required.
Well,
so very cool. As of a couple of days ago, Beachhead was the squad leader, of course. Snake Eyes was in there somewhere because he's Snake Eyes, damn it. And a lot of the other spots were still up for grabs. So make sure you get in there and get your voice heard on which guys you want to see in all the promotional art for this great show, which happens every year in Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know if I actually have the link in the description yet. I will before the end of the night. I promise you that. So if it's not there now, we'll get it there. I know it was there last week. But again, the name it's codenameiowa.com. Let me get that crawl off there. Troy's gone. He ain't paying us for extra crawl time.
he wasn't paying us for that crawl time.
Oh, no, but just sometimes you know the guy too damn long.
I know.
You're going to get plugged the damn show up there to crawl. How's that sound? That works. Or better yet, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please, we're not. I can't run the white flag like that. That would be wrong. You know what I can do?
Hey.
How you like that one, huh?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here we go.
Maybe I'll
Get
sell
some
it.
mark2toys.com up there. You're still using that site, right?
Yep. So that's for the weapon sets. That's for the manufactured weapon sets that I have.
I just didn't want to throw something up there and see that you'd updated to some new site or new host or something, and
No.
And we're sending somebody off to loosely sculpted 3D adult items. We don't want to do that sort of thing.
No.
Adult items.
This graphic came up, and I hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, "Wow, that's really good." And then my eyes hit the AR, and I realized, oh, it's because this is Brian.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Brian Sauer, and he's incredible.
Brian Sauer is amazing.
Every time I put together a thumbnail, I think to myself,
what would Brian do?
How would Brian do this better? And then my brain starts to hurt, and I stop. I cry for a minute, and I have a drink.
Yeah.
But Daniel Rodriguez asks, "Can Snake Eyes be a squad leader?" No. Don't be silly.
How's he going to issue commands and orders?
Right. Beachhead is there. He can't be the leader. The Gunny says he would not choose all Marines, and that's good, because I think I don't know if we've got 6 Marines on the Joe team, so
I can only think of 4.
yeah, maybe a few later on.
Yeah.
Past the. Anyways, Greg Augustin, first time at Joe Fest.
Wow.
Making the trip in from NoCal.
Wow. It's good. It's a good show, man. It's a good time.
That it is. Diana Davis asks, "Can I be a squad leader?" Yes, you can. You're not mute. You would not be a danger to yourself and others. Although I guess being mute wouldn't necessarily make you a danger to yourself, but it would maybe a problem for the folks you have to give orders.
That's right. You just carry around a whiteboard and just
Right. Now I'm sure he could be all like,
hand signals. Yeah.
yeah, but I think the ability to speak kind of trumps that shit.
The ASL needs sight lines, and that's not necessarily a given. So yeah, you can't have that kind of restriction. Good times though. Yeah, so head over to codenameiowa.com, pick out your favorite GI Joes to land in the assault team for the assault on Cobra Island, and stay tuned for all the cool promotional items that AR will be putting out between now and the end of the year. Where that first week in November is assembly required. Next news item. I think what we're lacking at this point, guys, is confidence. I think we just need to doot with no abandon, with reckless abandon.
I got it when it was me and the other Mark and Rob. Like, I feel like we got some really good dudes out.
Speaking of Greg Augustin, After Action Report Command Files Volume 2 is still funding on Kickstarter. It is funded fully. It is past its 100% threshold. We are just in the gravy mode at this point. You may pledge with confidence. They're collecting pledges through the end of the month, June 30th at 4 p.m. Books come out to $45 each. There are other add-ons and bonuses available. Just keep funding until they run out of stretch goals to give to us. Link is below in the comments or in the comment down. As Greg notes, it's 200% funded now.
Yes.
Well, fine, brag about it. Why don't you? No, you should brag about it. That's awesome.
$25,081 on a goal of $12,000.
I'm glad that we can be even the slightest help to this grassroots kind of fan project. That's what we the sort of thing we love to do. We've always done that on What's on Joe Mind. So we're thrilled with your success, and anything we can do to help direct traffic to After Action Report, we're going to do it. And in this case, that means following the link down below once we're done with the show tonight. Make sure that you got your pledge in for Command Files Volume 2 from After Action Report. Next news item. Mark, I think you something's holding you back, man. You gotta let fly.
I'm trying.
Don't worry about drowning Rob
I
out.
gotta believe in myself, right?
Rob was the oldest of a family with 4 kids. He's used to being heard. So don't worry about him. You're not going to drown him out.
I teach. I have teacher voice.
He teaches. He's Italian. There's so many loud things going for Rob. It's not even funny. Matt Rubin says we need a phone in doot. I need to find the soundbite. I actually, way back in the day, when we were just in the audio days, and I started doing doots for when Gary would introduce news. I did actually find a soundbite of it, but then I forgot it. I lost it, and just did the manual doots.
Is it actually Morse
ever
code?
since? No.
What the hell is that's always supposed to be then?
It's like the messages coming over the news ticker, like in a newsroom.
Right. It probably should be Morse code, but
or more like a typewriter or something.
Yeah, has it ever specifically been Morse code? No.
Huh.
No. Gene Fleming says, "Doot or doot not, there is no try." That's fantastic. Again,
that is pretty good.
He's one of ours.
Mike. Good job. That's a good one.
Oh my God. But wait, where'd it go? There we go. Best soundbite. Butt hurt. I'll get it up there once. Just anytime somebody wants to hear butt hurt, I have to butt hurt. There we go. We gotta respect that. We gotta respect old school butt hurt. Barking Fridge notes that on Sesame Street, Kermit had doots, so maybe that was it.
News flash. Yeah.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Maybe.
Mac MC wants to know when we're getting new 1/16th scale, or rather 1/18th scale. I mean, we just had a dude who's going to give you some 1/18th figures in Call Sign Longbow. So end of the year, we hope. As far as GI Joes, couldn't tell you. Doesn't seem to be in their plan. Hope you like Super 7 or the occasional figure that comes with a transformer. I don't know, but what can we tell you? Not where their focus is. Anyways, next news item. There you go.
So I found a Morse code translator and I put in WOJM and I can play it.
Go ahead.
I don't know how to put the audio from this other webpage through to you.
If
you know?
you're
here we go.
If you set it up so that your speakers are playing through your headset, well, I guess that wouldn't work.
Yeah, well, I'm in the private chat. I'm putting a link to it for you.
Okay.
But when you get a chance, check that out. Maybe you can figure something out with that.
Right. Let me. Let's see. Let's tell me if you hear this.
Yep.
I hear it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. You guys heard it?
I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't. So that's awesome. So anyways, we were supposed to have a live stream this morning with the folks at Hasbro Pulse. At the very last minute, postponed officially. I just have the canceled graphic up there because it was Wednesday afternoon and I didn't feel like looking for a new graphic. So splitting hairs, I'm sure. I don't think that they're going to go out of their way to add another live stream back onto the schedule because we knew that there was the one last week and then there was one this week. And, if they're going to do 4 of them like they said at the beginning of the month, I doubt that they're going to try and double up to make sure we get 4. But Julian Bashir asking, are you tracking a whale in the ocean? I don't know, man. I couldn't hear it. So Rob will have to answer that one for us.
We're tracking 2 whales in the ocean. We may need them for the future.
Right. I am the one person that didn't hear it. Everybody else caught it. Oh,
Now I want to put in thicken the crotch.
Thicken the crotch. That's gonna be a long one.
right. It's gonna take a while. Nowhere Manchild notes, I'm very impressed with Mike's ability to get the Yojo June live stream canceled today, so we didn't have extra slideshow prep work. Honestly, Jeff, it probably wasn't any less than it would have been anyway, because there were still pre-orders that opened up, which we'll get to momentarily. So I still had to do slides. But it was good that I didn't have to try and juggle taking notes in the middle of my workday. Like that part of it actually was a little bit of a relief. So in this particular case, Rob just came in the room later in the afternoon and told me what pre-orders were, and that was all I need. That was all the news I needed to gather for the day. So it was a little bit of a load off at any rate. I'm not going to complain. Oh, Bart, depends for when you got a doot.
See if that guy looks happy now.
Right. I will do it upright.
Nope,
Depends for when you have to doot.
You know how sometimes you get a T-shirt from one company and it's an extra large and it fits fine, and then
Right.
you get like an extra large from another company, it's way too tight.
Oh, believe me, that's
Like,
the story of my life.
On that box, I'm thinking if that was large, I'm thinking Depends run a little big. You know what I'm saying?
I would hope.
Well,
Yeah, it
they
makes
have to leave room for extra.
I think they also know who their customers are.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking as a man who has I have XX t-shirts that are huge. I have 5X t-shirts that are tight.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't change that much in the course of an afternoon. So yeah, yeah. There's no such thing as a size. You just try stuff on. That's all I'll tell you. Always try it on. So hopefully next week. I don't know. Whatever. Again,
I heard a fan theory.
What's that, Mark?
So pictures of the policeman had leaked,
Right.
and maybe the optics of that wasn't going to be great because of.
Yeah, they could have pulled. They could have just
You know what I
pulled
mean?
that from the fan stream and done the other.
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
Maybe.
I there might be something to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't necessarily want to. I don't want to hang my hat on something that at this point is purely conjecture. That may very well wind up being the case.
Yeah.
But it's not for me to say. But I would agree with that if that were the call. It would be pretty poor optics, all things considered, right now.
Yeah.
But again, we cannot confirm that sort of thing. So it's certainly not what we're gonna spread around necessarily. But we got another one.
Yeah.
All right. This is the next Morse code message from Mark Gerwig.
Oh, I didn't put the TM at the end of it, but that's the key crutch.
Oh God.
Did the gunny go to Fort Huachuca and take the Morse course?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Jonesy on the USS Dallas is very confused.
Pavarotti or Pitney.
Our fighting men and women at war. They don't know what to make of tonight's show. Anyways, next news item.
There it is.
Which I guess isn't really a next news item. It's really just more of the same news item. We got some pre-orders open today. So if you were cruising the internets and you had some dollars to spend, you could have gone to Hasbro Pulse and gotten yourself the Ostriker with crankcase. That is a Pulse exclusive. It is $99.99. When I tried to order stuff off of Hasbro Pulse earlier, it absolutely would not allow me to do so. So good luck.
I had no issue.
Rob had no problems.
The snake armor and the claw, because it just didn't want to work. Just kept telling me that there might have been too much traffic or something.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
They used to be able to handle that traffic.
Yeah, I don't understand. They made it look, they made the website look very pretty, but it seems to have lost a lot of functionality since then. So normally I do not have problems on the Hasbro Pulse website. Today I did. So I again, I'm not special. I know you folks say a lot of the same things every time there's pre-orders, and we believe you. There's just there's only so much we can do about it. Gene Fleming with the advice. I had a problem ordering back at PulseCon, and customer service suggested I try checking out with PayPal. And then Will Ferrell came and sang a little song, and it has gone smooth as silk using that method ever since. So there you go. Will Ferrell equals smooth commerce. When I see those commercials come on, the urge to kill rises within me. I don't know. I like Will Ferrell, and I like PayPal even, but I just the two together is just I can't handle him singing PayPal words over the soft hits of the 80s. It bothers me.
It probably wouldn't be so bad if it weren't at every commercial break
twice. Yeah.
What are you watching that you're getting hit with all that?
A lot of baseball. A lot of baseball, Mark. A lot of baseball.
I've seen those commercials, but not often.
And they come up a lot when I'm watching stuff on YouTube too. Sorry, I'm reading some live chat comments to see if there's.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, even though they didn't make a YouTube announcement that they postponed the live stream.
Yeah, as far as I know, the word only broke a couple of minutes before it was scheduled to start. So
yeah,
it's not like we knew hours in advance that it wasn't going to happen.
And not only that, I never got word that they were going to post pre-orders. I just happened to say, "Gee, I wonder if they're still going to post pre-orders today." So I looked at 1:00, and there the stuff was. So I ordered.
Yeah, social media, Hasbro social media channels did say that pre-orders were coming.
Yeah.
Greg Augustin asked, wasn't this supposed to come with spare wheels? Like, wanted all four to be the same diameter? I don't remember anything being said about that.
Yeah.
As far as I knew, it was always going to be normal wheels in back, teeny wheels up front. Mark, are the folks at Mark II Design Labs doing anything about these funky size wheels?
Negative, shipmate. So someone will, but it's not going to be me. I don't know how.
All right.
Someone absolutely will.
In case you were going to be the guy, I was going to help you drum up business.
I appreciate that, but
all right. I appreciate your.
I do not like printing tires.
you basically, I gave you a layup and you swatted it away.
Yeah.
In NBA Finals fashion, and frankly,
well, I don't feel like it that way, because I feel like I'm spreading the love to some other 3D artists that are,
That's right,
trying to make a couple extra bucks to cover.
I'm just saying, I appreciate the artisticness of that reply.
What? But no, yeah, somebody absolutely will. There's probably multiple people that'll get some alt tires for this thing, and I guarantee someone will give us a like a old school Ostriker gun for the top. I might do that, but at the end of the day, I gotta wait till I have this thing in hand. Like I can design the gun, but like I can't make it mount to anything until I have it.
Yeah, until you see what it has to mount to. Yeah.
Right, or scale it out even.
Yeah, you can get pretty close. But
Joe ARAH says we don't deserve it. Have you seen the mutts in their live stream chat? Nothing is more toxic than rabid fans. That is the truth, but that's
I just clicked the close X on the live on the chat window.
Yeah, I never need the live chat and anything. Frankly, anything bigger than our show, live chat is not necessary for me to see. But Mark, you're not around every week. Why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts on the Ostriker and if you pulled the trigger on one today?
I did. I pulled the trigger on one today for sure. The crankcase looks good. I like. He's got some cool accessories. A little weird that he's got a coffee mug.
That seems to be the in joke for 2025.
Right, because it's been done, right? I'll tell you the I forget the name. Shooting the Galaxy, the guy that does the promotional shots. Not the just product shot that's on the right, but the shot on the left. Like that looks awesome in that picture. The product shot on the right isn't doing it a whole lot of favors.
Yeah.
It looks a little cheap there, but I don't know. With these things, I kind of just got to get them in hand before I really make any kind of judgment. Like so far, like everything else has been amazing so far. You know, the vamps,
right.
The stingers, the hits. I don't know if you count that. It's a HasLab and it had so much going on, but like the trouble bubble, like all the vehicles they've done have looked good. So hopes are high.
I like that it's a little beefier than the original one. Like I like that it's got the girth to carry a third passenger and to have that bigger rig on the back. I know there's folks that love to bellyache anytime anything in classified deviates from what we got in the 80s and 90s. So I appreciate when things get updated to be a little bit more. I don't like to use the term realistic here, but it's almost the one you have to turn to.
I wouldn't say realistic, but maybe modern, up to date.
So our friend Mike Kleppinger, like months ago, started a project called the Desert Patrol Vehicle, and it's like within the G.I. Joe 3D printing community where it's like a crowdsourcing a vehicle together. This is one I got for like $1 out of a bin, but it's basically this, right?
Let me get you in the big window, Mark. Hang on. Ooh, that's not what we want.
Yeah, I want the big boy window. What's up?
I'm trying to get you the big boy window.
That's you in the big boy window.
Well, yeah, I got to make a switch.
There we go.
There we go.
So this was just like a cheap thing. I got it at Winterfest out of a bin from Destro's Toy Den. But look how close that is.
Yeah.
To the Ostriker. So this is based on a real world vehicle, and clearly they targeted this to kind of do the Ostriker. So I feel like I saw pictures of the Ostriker where the back part of the cage was off, and it looked, just by doing that alone, it looked a little more like the original. But even
I think they did say that
like
you
the
have the
wheels
option.
are the same size front and back on this.
Yeah. I think the balance on that vehicle in your hands looks a little better because the wheels are all the same size.
Yeah, I don't know if they made it look great in the one picture. So, and that's just a perspective thing, right? They're closer to the camera, so they're bigger,
right?
Smaller. But
right.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as people expect or think once they get it in hand.
Maybe not.
No, I thought even the product shots looked better than the render picture. So, and the promotional pictures look great. So I feel this is going to look a lot better in hand than what we've seen from those initial renders.
Yeah.
But Rack Time Rob, you pulled the trigger on this one today?
I did order one, yeah.
All right. I did not. I am out of space. The Maynard channel, welcome to the show. Gonna pass on the Ostriker, just can't afford it after all of my other Joe purchases. Plus, I just found my original one. Well, there you go.
Nice.
But no, I get you there, man. There's a lot. There's always a lot coming in June. It is tough to buy everything. You have to pick and choose a little bit. I do hope that some maniac out there decides that they want to get multiple Ostrikers, because I would love to get Crankcase. He looks like a huge improvement over what we got back in the day, and that was actually a pretty good figure for a driver. But this Crankcase looks awesome. He's got lots of options there. I dig him.
Is it still? Was that Hasbro exclusive?
That is a Pulse exclusive. Yes.
Is it still up or is it gone?
I think it's still available.
When I was on the website an hour and a half ago, it had not sold out. So
okay. It will.
Joe ARH,
Probably.
get 2 Ostrikers and send one back with 4 itty bitty wheels.
I saw that.
Boo. Boo. Right. Diana Davis says, this wave, everyone gets coffee.
That's right.
Hey.
I like coffee.
Bart says, Tiger Force toll booth will look great in this. Tiger Force toll booth looks great in everything. Yeah, I mean, folks, don't ever let live chatters get you down, right? And again, not talking about you folks who are with us with the What's on Joe Mind live chat. You're here most every week, and your behavior is generally exemplary. So I'm not talking about you guys, but don't ever let those big chatters get you down. It's always the loudest, most assholey folks desperately trying to get attention. For stuff that they're either not creative or not verbose enough to get on their own. So don't ever think that those folks are a representation of your community. Your community is full of better people than that. Mark Gerwig is here. He makes everybody's projects better. When they stopped making O-rings, people like Troy McKee jumped in and said, "Well, we'll make your O-rings." So yeah, no, the G.I. Joe fan community is a great fan community. Don't ever let some Yahoo behind a keyboard convince you otherwise.
And like I said, you can close that window. So with one click.
Yeah, just click the little X. It's all good.
Well, you know what's interesting is, and we've been talking to the show. You go to Joe Fest, you go to DFW, go to Assembly Required, and like everybody's a gentleman. I've had just nothing but overwhelmingly positive experiences with the people in the community that come out.
Right.
Maybe it's just because they don't have their anonymity of hiding behind a
a lot of it has to do with that.
But no, the community, the vast majority of the community is just great folks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the keyboard commandos exist everywhere. And our happy little home is no different. So don't let them get you down. Mark II Design is in the chat tonight.
How about that?
Welcome, Mark II Design.
Cool.
Welcome to the show.
Well, because Mike's in the chat.
Maybe I missed him.
Yeah.
I think I missed him.
Yeah, he's in there.
All right, we'll get him. We'll find him.
He'll turn up again.
Toy Bounty Hunter says shame he doesn't come with his rifle. He does have a sidearm, so that's something. We've got that small rifle that's mounted to the front of the Ostriker.
Yeah.
You can probably use that thing. And Lord knows, if you want to give him a rifle, maybe give him one that comes with the Sarge and Mercer, because good Lord, these boys are strapped. Also available today, the Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack. This is a fan channel exclusive. So Pulse, Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, etc., etc. They are retailing for around $60, depending on where you shop. Lots of cool extras. We got extra heads for the Sarge and Mercer. Again, 5, 6, 7 guns between them. It's crazy pants. They're here to they're here to bring the fight. Can't deny that. I really dig that Sarge. I think that's a good Mercer figure too, and I know it's going to shock people because I say I don't like the Mercer character, but it's a perfectly fine GI Joe. He was always, visually speaking, he was always the least offensive of the old Renegades. So, but I especially dig the Sarge in this set here. I love it. He's got the marine lid option. He's got the head that's got the whistle sticking out of it that Lenny was drooling over last week. I mean, it just, that's a great Sarge figure. They keep finding ways to make a pretty one-dimensional guy fun again. So I have to give them their credit there. I actually did pick this one up. What do you think, Mark Erwig?
I like it. I do hope we get the rest of.
There he is.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a crap about this, but like, when was the last time we got a base figure that was only? Are they officially like all the figures are $30 now?
I think with tariffs and what have you, they're probably going to work out that way, depending on how that goes. But
brutal.
I tend to think that we've got to have some kind of regular figures coming later in the month. You know, just like a basic assortment wave, if you will. Yeah. 3 or 4 guys. Although I mean, we did just get some back in April, so who knows?
I really like that camo on his pants, like that old Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Ollie Moore fucking.
Kleppinger stirring stuff up, man. Sergeant Slaughter with a raspberry beret. Where did I see that before? Where did he see that before, Mark?
WrestleMania.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Was it like so
like Greg Augustin had? I thought it was in a secondhand store, but anyway.
When so at Joe Fest last year, we had done the custom class, and we had done that Slaughter figure, which had the beret, and I think it was Sunday afternoon, we went and we presented like the one that Chris had painted really well. We gave it to Sergeant Slaughter, and we ended up it was Brian Sauer, Chris Scott, and myself. And we ended up talking to him for like 45 minutes and talking to his manager. And like at the time, they said like next week we're going to Hasbro and we're renegotiating like the next part of the contract. So we knew something was coming,
right?
And we didn't know what it was going to be, but pretty cool. Like I really like that Sarge and G.I. Joe are just connected at the hip for the rest of eternity.
It is pretty cool, and Sarge, you know, he's getting on in years. He could still tear a phone book in half. It's not a bad guy to have as your living, breathing, walking representative. But it was at excuse me, at Joe Fest a couple of years ago. I was walking down a hallway, and Sarge came around a corner, and I'm not a small person. And Sarge made me look like a child, right? Like it was just towered, and just a gigantic human being. But Rock Time Rob, what do you think of the Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack?
I do like this. I did order this. I like that's alternate look on the Sarge, and they said that Mercer, there's story ideas better than the ones he ever got from the file card, but you know.
Yeah. I my problem with Mercer has never been the figure Mercer. It's just been that they gave him kind of a slipshod origin.
Yeah.
And never fleshed it out. Like he's already more interesting in the Energon universe than he ever was in the regular, you know, Real American Hero version simply because, well, one, he exists there, and
Yeah.
two, we've seen him do stuff as a bad guy. Like we have an understanding of his value to that organization
Yeah.
already. So should he ever jump the fence, there's actually a reason for the Joes to keep him around, because this is a guy who does know things.
Yeah. As opposed to, someone, like you said, who would just be thrown into a cell in the basement.
Right. As the story goes, he's an ex-Cobra Viper, and Cobra Vipers are the bottom rung of the ladder. What do we care what they have to say about anything? So he'd be in a dank hole in Leavenworth and never seen again. So that's my problem with Mercer, not the figure Mercer. The figure's fine. Always has been fine. Again, what can I tell you? I did spring for this one. I was not able to purchase it from Hasbro Pulse. So I just went ahead and ordered it from Amazon instead. I felt a little dirty afterwards because I try to avoid using Amazon where I can. But yeah. Word Burglar officials in the house. Mercer's origin was always intriguing to me, like what made him switch sides. Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's just they never did anything with it. And then there was always this kind of groundswell behind Mercer. I guess the intrigue was that enticing for a lot of folks, but again, nothing was ever done, so it kind of fell flat for me. Nowhere Man-Child, even worse if he was an ex-Toxo Viper. Well, he would be smellier.
The leaky suit brigade.
He would be.
I'm looking forward to Toxo Vipers when they eventually get to him.
I love the Toxo Vipers. I especially love the original Buckethead Toxo Vipers. Like the ones from the 90s, they look cooler. I'll grant you that one, but they don't have the personality.
Yeah.
I like Buckethead Leaky Suit Brigade.
I made that helmet. Like I haven't made it printed yet, but I made one to wear. Eventually I'll print it and paint it.
That thing's got to be huge.
Show it off on your show. Oh, it's big. It's really big.
It's got to be huge. Huge.
Huge.
And welcome to the show, to the Berg. Appreciate your tuning in tonight. But yeah, Sergeant Mercer, this has been the win of Yojo June for me. It's actually the one thing I've ordered to this point. So, yeah, I like it. I dig it. And then finally, from the pre-order, we got a couple of entries in the retro carded line, and they did tell us that these were coming as just the two in the wave, so that folks would be able to build their armies a bit if they wanted to. But we got the retro G.I. Joe Trooper, also known as the Green Shirt, and perfectly acceptable figure. I'm not one for a whole lot of green shirts running around as it is. I understand the role they served on the old Sunbow cartoons, in that they were pressed for time, and rather than draw in every individual G.I. Joe, sometimes they just had to draw generic looking guys. But this guy is pretty cool. He's certainly got enough gear between the submachine gun and the laser and the knife and the sidearm. You can have a Caucasian or African American trooper with all the hand choices and what have you. We got the cool visored helmet, which I'm seeing on everybody except Flash. And but yeah, I dig him. He looks cool. I didn't buy any. I don't need these guys. The green shirts have never been a display option for me. I don't find them terribly interesting from that perspective. And as an old man now, that means a lot. Like if I can put it on my shelf, that's going to score some points. I can put these guys on my shelf, and they're not going to look a whole lot cooler than the guys I've already got. So, Mark, what do you think?
I love this. This is long overdue. This would have been great back when they were doing the selfie series. If the selfie series actually looked like the people,
Right. Agreed.
This would have been the figure for a
Right.
selfie series, in my opinion.
Right.
I can't
100% agreed on that one.
the rifle, like, visually something's wrong with that gun. It just drives me a little. It's just like too girthy and big. It's too big for me. It's just chunky. I don't know. I don't care for that gun. But otherwise, everything else is awesome. Like, I'm really glad they did this. Yeah, long overdue. I like the green shirts.
Yeah, no, if you there are folks out there who adore the green shirts and want an army of them, like they've got an army of their Cobras. And to that, this is a worthy entry to do that sort of thing with. So I tip my cap on the green shirt. I'm not buying any for myself, but a quality figure. Rack Time Rob, what do you think?
They're fine. I didn't order any either. I was never real big on the green shirts either. But hey, if this is your jam, go for it.
Yeah.
I happen to like the steel core guys a little bit better for that type of thing. But
And
I have some of
there's
those.
more history there, kind of.
Yeah.
They were never in the cartoon, though. What they need to do is, just like they did the Valkyries, they need to do like the female versions of this.
Yeah, that would be cool. Again, if there's plenty of folks out there that the cartoon was their main exposure, so these are an important part of the history for them, and certainly there's a lot more folks who are not 40 and 50 years old, who are younger, that have seen the show but they've never read the comic.
Yeah.
So these guys make a lot of sense to them too. But Dennis Fleming says, like an army of beachheads. No, it's nothing like an army of beachheads. Army of beachheads is special. Nobody's got an army of beachheads. That's crazy.
Only lunatics.
Only crazy people. And then also part of this wave of retro single-carded figures, we got the Cobra Bat, and that is fashioned after the Sunbow paint job there, so more cartoon warfare going on. Some neat stuff going on with the bat here. I like the battle wear on the flamethrower and the laser. I like that they've got the blast effects for the flamethrower and the laser too. But I certainly don't need any more bats. Oh my God, I've got so many bats. What do you think, Mark?
I really like this. I like this a lot. Like, people were going to pull the one of the bats that came had the red head, the red visor, and I know people were pulling that head out of the pack and putting it on the other one to
It was the Iron Grenadier bat.
It was the Iron Grenadier one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting right there. Yeah, I'm great with this. This is cool, and I like the it's a small little thing, but like the burnt iron on the laser and the little bit of char on the flamethrower. It's a nice touch,
Yeah, they keep making them a little better. I mean, I have to acknowledge that like this is a better bat than the first bat we got. But I got no more room for bats, man.
I'm a little surprised with the flame effect that they went with, because I think that's new. I don't think that's the one that came with Torch.
No, the one with Torch is longer, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a little surprised by that, but that's nitpicky.
Joe ARH says, retro bat, when you've got so many bats that your wife won't notice 4 more. At least that's what Hasbro told me. Well, good luck with that, man. Good luck with that. I would hope the wife wasn't keeping count on such things, but you never know. You never know. You never know. Jason Rose says, wonder if someone would make a good short fuse and zap head. I don't think we'll have to worry about that for too much longer. I think those guys are coming. I don't see how they can Like you can't ignore the rest of that original 13 bunch.
Yeah,
like
I like that they kind of jump around.
Right. That you have to.
Something for everybody. You know, every time they release a wave, there's somebody in there you want.
Right. You have to. You have to. If you pumped out everybody who is just a super fan favorite right at the beginning, then by the time wave 3 rolls around, you're trying to get people to sell Rampart, and he's cool and all, but he doesn't move the numbers.
Yeah.
So
So what you're saying is when we get to a wave with like Skidmark and Toll Booth in it, things are starting to taper off.
Things might be slowing down at that point, right?
Unless, of course, it's Tiger Force Toll Booth.
I mean, Tiger Force Toll Booth is they're saving him towards the end to save the line.
Yeah.
Right before they go neon.
Right.
Yeah.
Word Burglar sticking up for Rampart. Look, I like Rampart for what it's worth. He just nobody knows who he is, and they won't buy him.
Yeah.
You know who Rampart is. I know who Rampart is, and we might buy the only two.
No, I know who he is.
He was
Cooter's Garage would buy the shit out of Rampart, but that's 3. So
Rampart came around a little late for me.
Right.
But like, is there some kind of negative connotation with Rampart that I'm unaware of? Like,
no, he's just kind of he's a guy that I always drag out when I'm talking about the anonymous dudes from the early 90s.
Okay. Like he never showed up in the cartoon, never showed up in the comics.
He showed up in the Deke cartoon a couple episodes, but he wasn't a big part of that even. He wasn't a big part of the comic book. Just there's nothing wrong with most of those guys. They just don't have the run, right?
Yeah, the accessories got real cool during that chunk of time as well.
Yeah, like I happen to think that the years 89 through 90 are really good for, especially on the Joe side of things, for characters. But it's just an era that's kind of gotten passed over. They get lumped in with the neon guys and kind of sloughed off, and I don't think it's necessarily fair, but it is what it is.
He's 90.
Yeah, he was again squarely in the Deke era.
Yeah,
which doesn't really help your unless you're metalhead, it does not help your legacy. But like Barking Fridge says, by the time Rampart came out, Hama was sticking to certain characters in the comic, and a lot of those 90s characters got one or two issues with a couple lines. Yeah. It's about right. Or they got introduced and they're riding in the back of a tank for an issue.
Also, like there was the issue with I want to say it was like Lightfoot. It might have been, was it Special Missions or was it regular? You know what I'm talking about? They go on this mission and it gets all jacked up and he gets captured and tortured and beat up.
Yes.
And then he's like, we're gonna finish the mission. That was a great read. That was a really good issue.
Yeah.
Like, they had it in them to do a good story for everybody, you know?
Right. And again, not criticizing those. It's just, it's difficult when you have an overarching story the way that they did.
Yeah.
And in G.I.
Well, that's why
Joe's
Special
case,
Missions was really good. Like Special Missions was awesome.
But when your overarching story is Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and Cobra Commander, a lot of times those other guys they get their one issue and then they get lost in the shuffle.
So having been around a couple of military bases when I was a kid, and only because I had a friend of mine whose dad was like the captain in charge of the NROTC at the college in the town we lived in. Like on a military base, there's so many damn people. Like if G.I. Joe is just those guys, there aren't enough of them to like run anything, you know?
Right.
So like green shirts logically always made sense to me.
Right. It's I think it's just the cartoon kind of turned support personnel into combatants, and that's where the disconnect happens for a lot of folks. But anyways, next news item. That's actually it for pre-orders, folks. But at your local comic shop today, the Codename G.I. Joe Deluxe Edition hardcover Volume 1 is available. This is the collection of Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries from the Energon universe. Again, this is book 1. It's the hardcover versions. There is a Cobra Commander variant cover, and so if you prefer Cobra Commander, there's I think it's a red one out there with him on there. And yeah, that's out there today. Mark, you been reading the Energon universe stuff?
I'm behind. Yes, to answer your question, but I'm like way behind right now. I'm a couple issues behind, so
Okay.
Let's not spoil anything.
Issue 7 just came out, and that's still in our spoiler window. Issue 8 is next week.
Hey.
With writing by Joshua Williamson, pencils Andrea Milana, and the colors by Lee Loffridge. That again next week. Looks like the Baroness is going on vacation, which, you know, hey, she's earned it. Joe's got pretty beat up in that first story, so I'm sure they all get a little R&R for their trouble. And of course,
who's standing in the window with the pew pew?
Right, it's trouble. Trouble is in the window, Mark. Trouble. I don't know, because there's no, like, that has nothing to do with what happens in issue 7. So I can't even give you any foreshadowing. It's just it's
yeah.
kind of
You know, I went and asked for no spoilers, and then I asked a very specific question,
right?
Like an idiot.
So I can't. There's no spoilers to give. I have no idea. I tend to stay away from the advanced solicitations because I don't want to know. But yeah, be on the lookout for that next week. And then other bits from Skybound. Also this week, Transformers 21. And then next week, of course, we saw G.I. Joe 8. Real American Hero Trade Paperback Volume 3 comes out. That is issues 311 through 315, I believe. And then the following week, on June 25, we get Void Rivals 20 for those who are following along there. We always try to give the Energon universe books on the calendar here. But
not to spoil anything, but the last 2 issues of Transformers have definitely had Joe ties.
Yes. Yeah, very, very prominent G.I. Joe character is getting involved in the last 2 issues of Transformers. So again, they're within the window, so we won't go any further than that. But excuse me.
There's a question in the chat. What is Void Rivals? And like,
what's Void Rivals?
And I'm not even sure how to answer that question. It's like, how do we draw the universe of these different IPs together? Let's create a story about. Would you say it's like 2 alternate faction characters that get trapped together and then they end up woven through?
Yeah, it's very much. Rob, you're reading it more intently than I am. Why don't you go ahead and field that?
Well, basically, there are these 2 warring planets, and you know, not to spoil it, but basically, they each of these two races seem to have ties to Cybertron. You know, despite the fact that they you know, at least appear to be, or, you know, probably are biological entities as opposed to, you know, robots, but they definitely have ties to Cybertron and the kind of surrounding worlds, like, you know, the Quintessons and things like that. So, and you know, the Transformers and actually other characters from the Transformers cartoon, you know, some of the side things that they would introduce once or twice have showed up in there, and currently regulars are Springer and Hot Rod. So
yeah,
and now Cobra Law's running around in there too. So
it's pretty well done. Yeah, you almost kind of just have to check it out.
It's a little bit of a slow burn, just simply because there's a lot of irons in the fire for the overall story.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're reading the Joe and Transformers books, they are very action oriented, right?
Yeah.
So Void Rivals is a much slower read. Absolutely.
But in the way it does seem to be kind of, but it's definitely, I would say, doing a lot of world building heavy lifting.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. That seems to be the role. It is there to form.
I know there's some people that really don't like it, but there's sometimes where it actually is a little bit of the spice in the stew. It makes it kind of makes the other things a little more interesting.
So what you're saying is Void Rivals is spicy.
I wouldn't call it spicy, but
it's spicy.
Yeah.
As I turn it into an adult book.
Yeah.
Next news item. There we go. See, look at you guys chirping away with confidence. Confidence. Hey, the swag shop on TeePublic. I alluded to it earlier.
Uh-oh.
Is it me?
No, I think Mike froze.
It's not me.
Oh. It might be. Mark broke it. But anyways, June 16th through the 23rd, big Father's Day extravaganza that they do every year on TeePublic. 35% off on tees and deep discounts on everything else site-wide. Sweatshirts, mugs, magnets, stickers, caps, and more. Link is below in the description box. Be sure to check that out later this week when we're done here, certainly. You can get the Thick in the Crotch shirt. It is still there and available. So,
yeah, Thick in the Crotch, bro. I'm also eyeing the almond milk shirt.
There you go. It's right there for you. You know how long it took to find bra tops that would fit on an almond? A long time. That's how long.
Yeah, I'm not even touching that one.
We had to go through a lot of clothing sites to find something that worked there.
That is going to hit some interesting algorithms there. Algorithms.
Right. Like if it had a live model in it, I couldn't use it because my Photoshop skills aren't that good. More importantly, my Photoshop software isn't that good. So I had to find clothing sites that only had, empty swimwear. Yeah, it took a long time to do bras on almonds. A long time.
Oh,
Finally, we got him, Rob. We finally got him.
Jesus, dude. Hey, like, all kidding aside, next time you run into that conundrum, just message me.
The bra and almond conundrum.
Yeah,
Right.
like next time you've got nuts or fruits or whatever, and you're trying to put some provocative swimwear or whatever on them.
Next time I'm trying to
reach out to me. I'll knock out.
trying to put women's swimwear on tree nuts. Find
Yeah.
Mark Gerwig.
Are there nuts that don't come from trees?
They're peanuts. They come
Those
from
are
the ground.
legumes, though. They're not really.
Yes.
nuts.
That's true.
They are
They're not
neither a
really
pea
nuts.
nor a nut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's that. I guess there's that. Jake Rose says that's a reckless hot take. No, not really. It's just non sequitur craziness. But so yeah, there you go, folks. Anytime you are having issues putting ladies' swimwear on tree nuts, Mark Gerwig is your man. You can find him at the website scrolling below, mark2toys.com.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Mark, I'm buying the vamp gun.
That kind of thing is going to fall under kind of the Mark II design platform. Not so much Mark II toys.
Josiah Alcorn says, my Staff Sergeant Sea-Dog shirt always gets compliments when I wear it in the warehouse. Might need a tie-dye version. I think
There you
you
go.
absolutely do. And certainly on June 16th, that one's going to be there for you at just $16. So check that one out later this week or over the weekend. I guess that would be. I don't know. What day is the 16th? What day is the 16th? Is
Monday.
Monday. So next week. Day after Father's Day. What do I know? Mark, your family got any big plans for you?
No. No. Me cooking them dinner, probably something like that.
Would I mean? Do they remember that you live with them most weeks, Mark? Come on now.
Yeah, somebody feeds them.
All right, you're making me sad here, Mark. Making me sad. Next news item. Oh my God! Wait! There we go. Oh, hey! Don't forget our 14th anniversary minimalist jet fighter design. Also available all the time, but again, starting the 16th, it's gonna be marked way down. Pick it up then. And I know a lot of money getting thrown around this week between pre-orders and Kickstarters and T-shirts going on sale. But let's, if we've got a couple of bucks laying around, let's make sure that we send some the way of Jamie Sullivan, popular G.I. Joe artist. Again, he is running a GoFundMe so that he can pay for an operation to save his foot. His health insurance has decided that you don't need 2 feet. You get to have one taken off when there's a perfectly good doctor out there willing to operate and save the one that he has. But they don't want to cover that one, so we have to turn to GoFundMe. So please, if you have just $1, $2, anything, whatever you can shake out of the couch after a crazy Yojo June, be sure to send it Jamie Sullivan's way. They are almost at the point where they got this thing paid for. They need 8,000 or 9,000 more, which is, it sounds like a lot, but when an operation costs better part of $50,000,
yeah,
8 or 9 is pretty close. So please, every little bit helps. We do have the link down below in the description. Make sure you're hitting that up when we're done here tonight. Just give what you can. No better Father's Day gift for Jamie Sullivan than, hey, you get to keep what's left of your foot. That's all I can say about that. Next news item. And of course, lots of pre-production photos make their way out over the course of the year. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of them this month with Yojo June happening. But when you got them, when you see them, make sure you hit up the surveillance port every day. That is the best place to get all that stuff in one easy-to-find location. You can find it at surveillance-port.com. When we're done here, just pause the screen, type it in, and then just save it to your bookmarks, because surveillance is hard to spell. But, I don't know what he's thinking, choosing surveillance as part of his website name. I mean, clearly it needed to be something that people are going to be looking for online. It needed to be like boobsport.com or something like that. But no, he went surveillance port at surveillance-port.com for all of your G.I. Joe pre-production news and all the other news too on a daily basis. And then come join us on Wednesday night for the team streams where we talk about all this stuff.
I never thought of it before, but yeah, he could have been Coastal Defender.
Right?
Prospector Clem's old-timey looking hole.
I mean, knowing
Bivouac's not a good one.
knowing Eric a little bit, he fits as more of a Cobra guy. So I don't fault him for that side of things. But Joe Fan 84 asking, are you fellas going to have a booth at Joe Fest? Unfortunately, no. We are not able to make the trip to Joe Fest this year. I think I'm still paying for Joe Fest last year, so it is not an easy trip to make necessarily. It's a lot of money gets spent on the travel side of things. So it's probably not something we can swing every year. I mean, really, a big part of why we were able to go last year is because we were guests of Joe Fest, which took some of the financial burden away from us. So that invitation was not extended to us this year. If you want to see us at your local shows, don't tell us. Tell the show promoters. We want what's on Joe Mind. We'll travel just about anywhere. I'll travel just about anywhere. Racktime Rob has that pesky school year thing to deal with, so he's not always available like I am. But I am a total show whore. I will be wherever somebody wants to give me a chair and a table. But yeah. So again, I appreciate the folks who ask us this, but don't ask us. Ask the folks who run Joe Fest. Hey, where's What's on Joe Mind? That's how What's on Joe Mind goes to Joe Fest. Again, we want What's on Joe Mind at all. Hey, we'll go to all of them. Don't tell us.
At Joe Fest last year, you guys had a panel and
We
I
did.
went up there, and Mike, you had just like the first 10 minutes is just you introducing your cohorts, and it was fantastic. And I spoke to you, remember, and I said, well, you like next year, will you introduce the G.I. Joe 3D printing panel, because like who better, right? And now you're not going to be there, so
Well,
we're not doing a 3D printing panel this year.
now, in fairness, that has nothing to do with that. You know, you guys didn't have a panel and canceled it because I wasn't going to be there. You're making it sound like the fact that I'm not going to be there is why you're not doing
Why
a panel.
you weren't going to be there, so we didn't even plan it.
You didn't know that till earlier tonight.
We put zero effort in. No, if you guys were going, we'd have heard about it months ago.
That's true. Diana Davis notes, you never come out here. That's true, but you know, again, tell your local show, hey, you guys should bring What's on Joe Mind to the West Coast. We might just stay. Indiana kind of sucks. I'm just saying. I know
I could get stuck on the 405 like everybody else.
Right. I think we just lost our endorsement from the Indiana Chamber of Commerce, but
Yeah, please.
you know. Rack Time Rob has a lot more bile in that regard than I do.
That
we
ain't going to
just-
keep me up at night. I'll tell you that.
we should just turn the camera on and let him go some night. But I tell you. Josiah Alcorn says, it's worth it to see What's on Joe Mind at your con, just to be surprised at how formidable the honcho looks in person.
You have no idea until you're standing next to that dude.
Right. We are a burly podcast,
You are
folks.
a
I mean,
big bunch of dudes, man.
we are large. Like Rob and I are 6'1". Mark is 6'3". And like I think Mark's the lightest one at 230. Like we're a big bunch of dudes. So it's we're a little intimidating at times. That's why we're often seated at the table. We don't want to be standing around looking like we're gonna rough somebody up.
No, Joe Fan 84. No cake this year.
Yeah, no
But
cake
cookies.
this year. But the Gunny's bringing cookies. Gunny's bringing cookies.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, to be quite honest, logistically, that's better con floor food.
Right.
Yeah.
Chocolate chip, peanut butter, and the sleeper hit, sun-kissed orange cranberry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Sun-kissed
You
orange.
didn't mention the snickerdoodle, but whatever.
I mean, snickerdoodle also great. Also
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Also great. I look, man. I'm a grown man who sits around with a Cookie Monster on his desk at all times. I see them and I kind of black out, like the Cookie Monster does. I wake up in a pool of sweat and crumbs.
And tears.
No, never tears. They're
No
cookies,
tears.
man. Cookies are universal good. Universal good.
Oh, that's nice. He made
There we
the
go. Yeah,
video a cookie.
Greg Augusta with the WOJM with the cookie in the middle of it. There we
There
go.
you go.
There's your
There's the next
shirt.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right. It's there's I have spent a lot of the last year trying to get some of this big guy off of me. But if it meant sacrificing cookies, then I'll just, no. I'll sacrifice like a meal before I'll sacrifice cookie time. There we go. Gunny's got us hooked up. He'll send us a couple dozen. There we go. Gunny, you're the best. We're gonna have to get Gunny's wish list as far as stuff he's looking for. We got to send something back if he does that. We may have to reopen the What's on Joe Mind prize vault. And final news item. Hey, look at that.
Hey, look at that
Softy
guy.
Tank Kitty and his Meowler Tank are brought to you by the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast. And rather than have me stumble through another improvised intro for the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast, we will have one of the actual hosts of the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast stumble through an improvised plug for the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast. So, Mark Gerwig, what's the G.I. Joe 3D Printing Podcast?
Well, this Sunday you can check it out yourself. So noon Eastern. Let's see, it makes it, I don't know, like 9 o'clock here. We'll go live on YouTube and have some 3D printing talk. So this Sunday we're actually going to do a live stream of a build. So I'll be demoing Fusion 360, and we're making the little power supply box that the original Dr. Mindbender came with. We're making that
nice.
to plug in, because the retro one's coming, and he's got like a little tank or something on his belt that it plugs in.
Yeah, a little belt generator.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna make the original one and put it up online, and everybody can just download it for free and print it themselves. So we'll be doing that this Sunday, and I'll also have my good friend Chris Scott on as a guest to plug his Kickstarter, which I do want to talk about tonight.
Okay, well, we will get to that in just a moment. We do want to give you all the time you want in well, I guess I'll call it the second hour, although it's going to be more like the third hour.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we can talk a while, can't we? But anyways, before we get to that, we do want to take a couple seconds for our good friends and wonderful sponsors at Kokomo Toys. Stay with us.
We buy, sell, and trade vintage and modern toys. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel, DC, and more. Located in beautiful downtown Kokomo, Indiana, we are open every Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. It's a theme park of nostalgia. Join the thousands of people who have traveled from all over the Midwest for over a decade to buy and sell with us. Get your geek on.
All right. Mark Gerwig, what you got going on? You're going to be helping your friend Chris out at Joe Fest. Why don't you talk more about his project and what you guys will be doing?
Okay, so Chris Scott, a friend of mine, who I really just kind of met from I met him for the first time at Joe Fest 2021, I think. And we just kind of hit it off. But he's got a Kickstarter coming up this Friday the 13th, for a toy line called World War Hell. It's just a 3 3/4 inch O-ring line with very updated articulation and extremely high detail sculpting. Primary sculptor in that was Carter the Conqueror. You can find him on Instagram. Arlen did a little bit. I did. He was kind enough to let me like make a base or something, like a figure stand. Brian Sauer did the logo. Like, so there's a lot of like just super talented folks from the community who kind of contributed to it. And it's just a super fun line. So it's like a World War II fantasy horror kind of line. And again, it's O-ring, but pretty updated, like ankle articulation, hand articulation, and just super detailed. So you can find that at Kickstarter. I happily give you a link if you want to stick it in the chat or something.
Absolutely, yeah. Throw it up there. We'll put it. He's taking himself out, but we'll get it up in the live chat. I will add it to the comments down below before we're done here tonight. he hit himself good.
Yeah.
Oh my God! See, we made him laugh once, and that was the end of it.
That was it. Yeah,
if you can
compose himself,
I mean, really, if you're still with us, there we go. Which button did you hit, Mark? What happened?
I hit private chat, and it kicked me out and asked me to log back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
All right.
There you go.
We will. So go ahead and talk a little bit more about that while I do some work to get that public.
Let's see. So I think it's going to be 4 figures with 1 stretch goal. That's going to be the initial release on Kickstarter. There may be some more stretch goals. I think it's going to be kind of like a see how it goes. Chris did all the paint masters for it. If you go to the Kickstarter, everything that's there, all the sculpting is done, painting's done, packaging, everything's ready to go. So if the Kickstarter goes, we go right into waiting for the factory to start tooling. So, you know, it could go quick, like only a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or not. Like who knows what's gonna happen. And the tariff thing hasn't really helped freaking with planning.
Anyone.
Yeah. So, but I'm pretty excited about it. Like I've been fortunate enough to kind of be in the loop on the planning and the design and everything, and it's been pretty exciting, kind of seeing all of it progress and come along. It's pretty cool.
But Terry Hawkins is in the chat, Mark. He said, hello, everyone. I wanted to thank Mark for the head scan he did at a previous Joe Fest. I put the head on a slaughter body and made it up to look like a major barrage from the DTC line. Wish I could send a pic. Well, I mean, you can, Terry. We can get that in later.
Yeah.
But what has that been for you, Mark? How is that project?
Which one?
Gone with as far as scanning folks' heads for classified scale figures or 3 3/4 style figures?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very time consuming. I've done it, I guess, like 2 years now, and I've kind of refined the process, and I've gotten a lot better just with my ZBrush and being able to sculpt and do hair better and do eyes better. I use an app on my phone. I do the scan. It's kind of rough, but it gets you so close out of the gate. It's such a great starting place to sculpt a head that it makes it very reasonable in turn versus getting like a portrait of somebody and trying to like essentially freehand sculpt a likeness from a photo. Doable, right. But it takes a lot more talent, skill, and time. So just starting off with the rough scan, and then I got to go in and I have to sculpt the hair. I have to resculpt the eyes, mouth, nose, ears. But it's all reasonable. I've gotten pretty good at it. I will be doing that at DFW this year. So
okay,
2.5 weeks from now or so.
So yeah, you're pulling the double like Troy.
Yeah. At least I don't have to drive. I'm flying, man. Well, to Joe Fest. I'll be driving to Texas from Colorado. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
But I think Troy said he's going to end up driving from Joe Fest in Georgia. Just go straight to Texas. There's no reason to go north to Colorado and then like haul ass back south.
Yeah.
So, chill. I am not envious of that trip. Jesus.
No.
Yeah.
And he will have the original Johnny Kooks in tow, so I suppose it's not too bad.
I like those guys, man. The Kookoviches. But yeah, the head scans, man. Like, I've gotten no negative feedback. Like, there's people that have sent their heads out and then like not heard from again. But most of the folks reach out and they're pretty thrilled with it. Like when you get it, it's a weird thing when you get it and it's like, oh shit, that's me. Like
right.
People's reactions kind of make it worth it, you know. But yeah, I can do 12-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, 10-inch, 3 3/4, 4-inch, whatever. I just need I typically want you to have the figure that you want it to go on, so that I can take some measurements and make sure that it'll work.
Right.
Right. But that's about it.
If somebody stumbles onto your booth at DFW in a couple of weeks and says, "Hey,"
when people come to my booth, it's because they stumbled over.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, I need a head that looks like me to go on this classified figure. What's that going to set them back?
I am doing that for $150 American, and that's
there. You go.
I scan it. I take a portrait and a profile shot of you, and then I have to. There's a bunch of things I have to do to kind of make the file hold water and work, and then sculpt it, and then I print it, I paint it, and then I ship it. So all in, $150, and it's on your figure.
Right. Ton of tech, ton of labor.
Yeah,
can't argue with
I
that.
think I use like 6 different programs to get it from point A to point B. It's a lot.
Right.
I've got it
Well, I
as
mean,
streamlined as I can, but it's
Uh,
it's not like I use my phone and I hit a button and it pops out of a machine completely.
Right.
You know, like it's
Right.
hours for every single one of them.
people were willing to pay half that much for selfie, Hasbro selfie figures, and they just looked like, the version of the puffy version of the person that bought it, who had maybe had a couple too many donuts that morning.
Yeah.
Well,
it was a tough thing. We talked about it on the show once, and we had a Hasbro person on who was telling us how kind of they were doing it on that end, and I was shocked to learn that they were actually 3D printing those heads.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't
thought they were
believe
just
that.
kind of painting onto like a series of base heads.
Yeah.
Well, they were base heads, but they 3D printed them. Yeah, I was blown away by that.
That's a weird approach.
Yeah. I don't know.
You got that 1,000-yard stare, Rob.
I'm trying to, like,
I respect them for trying. I respect them for taking a risk, because that's not something they're really known for.
Right.
I really appreciate that they tried. I think the technology was just not quite there where they could get enough heads close enough to human variation, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's they were trying to figure out a way to mass produce custom items.
Yeah.
In other words,
it's rough.
Yeah, that's really hard to do.
There's a sweet spot there that is difficult to accomplish, and I think
somebody has to try first before you can.
Right. I think they got scared by the price point on it too. I think they were like, what can we sell this for?
I think they had too few figures, right? Like G.I. Joe, like green shirts would have been great. A Cobra Trooper or a Viper would have been, like, army builders would have been great.
Right.
Not just like, hey, you're going to be Snake Eyes from the movie. Right? It was Snake Eyes and Scarlet.
We're going to immortalize you forever in a version of this character that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Yeah. And like the Mando one was cool. Like for Star Wars, you could be the Mando. I can't remember what else they did. I kind of regret not getting one.
Now, Star Wars, they might have done a Stormtrooper.
I thought they did.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway.
Not everyone wants to be Queen Amidala or whatever. Jar Jar.
Get your custom Jar Jar head. Just get a couple of big floppy ears glued on the top.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
They just put on one of those goofy hats from Disney World.
Right.
There you go.
So, Mark, what other work have you been putting in this last few months since we've talked to you? Like I said, you seem to be attached to every project out there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I don't want to say it's slowed down, but like the variety has kind of become more focused. Yeah, and I was doing just like little, like I did like 3 or 4 guns for Delta 17. Not what I would call a major contribution. I'm still doing a lot of Action Force stuff. Action Force has kind of actually picked up for me, and I think Bobby's going to be showing off a lot of stuff at DFW. I finished all my Operation Recall stuff, like the Luna, the Cheetah was the last thing I did. That was quite the learning experience for me. Like, there's hard surface modeling, which is kind of my bread and butter, and I do that in software called Fusion 360, and I'm good. I can do that all day. And then doing like the organic stuff, doing heads, clothing, secondaries, that kind of thing, I use a software called ZBrush, which is kind of the industry standard, and it's just real brutal to learn. It's got a rough learning curve, and it's taken me a lot of time to kind of get mildly proficient at it. If it was just sculpting, take some wax or some clay and here's some tools, I could kind of work that out, kind of no problem. But once you incorporate like fairly complex software into it, it gets challenging pretty quick. So, I've never sculpted a cheetah before, so that it's not a house cat, it's not a lion, it's not a puma, it's got a very specific anatomy, and I really wanted it to look like a cheetah, and not Cringer or some other thing. So it took me it took me a bit longer to get it done than it should have, but it got done. I think Carson's happy with it, so there you go.
Right. He showed it off to everybody else, so that's usually a good sign.
Yeah. He didn't block me on social.
It wasn't pixelated out when he showed the picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't.
It
He
was
didn't
a
hold it up.
Yeah.
It was like this big.
Pending vendor approval.
Oh my God! Did he sculpt a cheetah or did he sculpt a wang? What's going on there? I mean, how many opportunities are you going to have to sculpt the cheetah again? So
but this is a problem I have, is I really have a tough time saying no, especially if it's something new. Like I like a challenge. I like learning.
Yeah, challenge yourself every once in a while.
Yeah, it just sometimes it just takes a little longer than it should.
It's all right.
And then
man.
I've got two other things that I think are going to be Kickstarters that I can't really get into. Action Force. What else do I got?
You've lost track of it all already, huh?
Yeah, I do have a list.
So
I'm really hoping. I'm trying to get my dad's into model railroading, but my mom's not into letting him have room to do it. So I've been trying to talk him into letting me come help him kind of clean out the garage so he can have a place. And I really want to do like just cool scenery things for him.
Right.
Yeah. One day.
That would be cool. You get to help your dad be a kid again, and provide all the trees and general stores, and kids running the mailboxes.
Mark's trains, and he just and like that's all he talked. Like there's all I don't know how much you know about model railroading, but there's plenty of different brands and lines and everything. And he just wants to play with the trains he had when he was a kid. That's all he wants to do. It's like I get that.
Yeah, we totally understand that.
Yeah,
that sounds like our wheelhouse right there. But Andrew Gauguin has it down, Mark. It's time for what's just off screen.
I was deliberately not even trying to do anything because it's gone so badly the last couple times. I don't have anything new for you. Like I've been so busy doing design stuff for various toy companies. I haven't had much time to work on my own stuff. I have I've got stuff real close to being ready to print. Or I even got a couple things that are well past should have printed them. But I physically don't have a cool new something to show off today.
That's all right, man. If nothing else, folks that just, I mean, we did give you a whole 5 days to prepare. So, that we totally expected you to have just something.
We expected a fully designed and painted classified series Coastal Defender.
Right.
and I won't be doing that because somebody else beat me to it.
You could just hold up a box and go, here it is.
If you want to keep it simple and angular, the Cobra Jetpack is out there for you.
And it's been done.
We don't care, Mark. We want to see yours.
Yeah. I know.
We want to see them.
Well, I'll make sure I'll have something next time. I've got primarily like 4 printers that I still use. I think we've got like 9 in the house, but there's only 4, and there's the 3 that I would do anything large with. All of them are fucking down right now. Sorry for that bomb. And then I've got like my one main resin machine was down for like 6 or 7 weeks, and it was maddeningly frustrating just trying to get everything back up and running. Right. I've been back up for about 2 weeks now, and I just have like this laundry list of stuff, and I'm just like printing, and almost none of it's even mine. So
It's all proprietary content.
yeah,
It's all right. It's
So,
all right.
I'm thinking in the fall I'm gonna get a new, like the 3 FDM machines I was talking about. Like they're just gonna go somewhere, and I'm gonna get me a nice shiny new one. And,
9 of them in the house.
yeah.
He wakes up in the morning and something's 3D printing him toast.
Yeah,
So, Mark, you got a busy couple of weeks ahead of you.
sure do.
What does the rest of your calendar look like as far as Mark II design hitting the road?
Yeah, so starts with Joe Fest. Heading out next Wednesday for that. I go down to Florida. I'm riding up to Georgia with Chris and Don Keone, and helping out with Chris's table for the World War Hell figures. So I'll be stationed up there for the most part. But it's Joe Fest. You gotta get around and see people.
Right.
The G.I. Joe 3D printing group. If you're one of you don't even have to be in the group, but like we're definitely gonna have like a little meetup. We always end up going over to Mellow Mushroom and getting some pizza. So that will be a thing. Viper 6 will be there. He's the guy that had the 6-foot tall bat last year. He's bringing I think he's bringing the bat, but he's also he did a Zartan, like a 6-foot tall O-ring Zartan.
That's going to be a fun one to try and get over the border.
Yeah.
For
those who don't know, he got stopped at the border because he had that damn bat.
Sarge, there's a human head in this box.
Yeah. Well, so as the story goes, he tried to put it in the passenger seat because he figured he'd just put the seatbelt on it, but because of that kind of ridge on the top of the head, it just ended up being too tall. So he laid down the seats in the back and just laid the bat flat in the back of his like station wagon or SUV or whatever it was. So when he was going through the border, the customs folks are like, "How many people in the vehicle?" He's like, "It's just me," and they were like, "You sure about that?" Like he ended up getting searched and everything. But yeah, he took everything he learned from. He took everything he learned from the bat and made a bunch of tweaks and changes to his process, and so he made a Zartan. It looks amazing, and so he'll have that at the show. You'll definitely be allowed to come and take your picture with it. We're
going to lay this out there for our fans. Real quick, Mark, I'm going to lay this out there for our fans. No dry humping the Zartan. That is not acceptable. Do not dry hump the Zartan. Because that needed to be said. I know our people. Go on, Mark.
I don't know. I feel like you just really screwed up my my plans for the weekend. Anyway.
Look, man, you're a lot closer to the Zartan than most of them.
Well, I had the honor of he kept the bat in my room last time, so I was kind of hoping I'd get the Zartan this time. And
so it wasn't a dry hump, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it was like a dry heat. Yeah. wasn't humid, not humid. What else? Yeah, I'll get to see, Mike and Artoine, my co-hosts on the 3D printing podcast. Basically, I see them once a year. Mike, I saw twice last year because he went to Jolanta, so
okay,
that's cool. Artoine's super busy, so yeah, it'll be good to see him.
You guys, I'm gonna just say it. I watch sometimes and I try to follow along. You guys are like mega geniuses. Yeah. Like as soon as you guys branch off into the 3D printing part of the show,
it is another language, but it's not that bad.
But no, and I mean I don't say that to make you sound like you lose people, but like if you're into 3D printing at all, you guys do a real good job of you field questions and you explain what you're talking. Like you get your point across well enough that even somebody who doesn't know anything about it eventually is able to pick up at least on the concept of what you got going on.
Okay.
Right. So it's you know, I recommend to I've had some folks who I know in various collecting circles buy 3D printers in the last 12 months, and I have sent all of them your way, whether they, you know, so just like this is the show you need to watch. And they like, well, I don't do anything with GI Joe. It doesn't matter if you do anything with GI Joe.
Yeah.
Process is the same.
It's the 3D printing part of that title that you need to be more concerned about. They're going to tell you how to work this machine that you have and do the cool stuff that you want to. Like the fact that you want to do custom He-Man stuff.
Yeah, that's Joe adjacent.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you're watching the GI Joe 3D printing podcast. They're going to show you how to do that He-Man stuff.
Yeah, we you know, that was the point. That was what made us start, was just like the really brutal learning curve at the beginning of getting a printer up and running, and then the harshness of the internet. Like when you go to you know, a Facebook page for, you know, whatever printer it is you bought, and you ask a beginner question, they just
Right. They just. Right.
Why didn't you search for that? Yeah, no.
Because it's a Facebook page, and it's garbage.
Everybody's welcome to the GI Joe 3D printing group. Everybody's welcome. Ask whatever question you want to ask, and we will get you an answer. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. So with the as we'll pull it into the station here, well, I'll ask you the same question I asked Troy at the end.
Yeah, and then DFW Joe Show, I'll have my own table there. I will be selling some 3D prints. We'll see what I can have done for it. I don't know yet, but I'll definitely be doing the 3D head scans. Yeah, DFW. DFW is going to be cool. There's going to be a lot of good folks that kind of show up to that show this year.
You making it up to Iowa in November?
Absolutely. That's my favorite show, is Assembly Required, and this will be my third or fourth year I think, kind of working with Brian and Travis, and
Uh-oh.
He's freezing up on us.
And
The kids are playing Minecraft, Mark.
me? No.
No. You locked up for a second there. That's all. You're good.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh. Yep.
Oh,
I did something for the custom class last. Oh, yeah.
Nope. Cow. I think that's the internet's way of saying you've been on long enough.
Mark, what I would say is drop out and then come back in, and then we'll move into Rack Time Rob shout outs while you're gone, and then you can finish up when you come back. I don't think he caught any of that.
No, I think he's frozen.
This is why
we might have to put that in the private chat.
Right. Go ahead and pass that along to him there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just take him out of the window for a second, and we'll get Mark back in momentarily. But yes, Mark will be at Joe Fest as well, and then he will be at DFW the week afterwards, and you get your head scanned, get on top of the figure of your choice, whether it's 1/6 scale, 1/12 scale, 1/18, or anything in between. Mark can get you accommodated, and like he said, $150 gets it done. And I mean, for a one-man operation, that's really that's really affordable. So,
and DFW, if you don't know, Dallas Fort Worth Toy Show.
Right. Is he back?
I think so.
Who knows?
All right.
Who knows what's going on?
the kids are playing Minecraft and watching the TikToks.
I definitely should have got a couple drinks while this was reloading.
So Joe Fest in 10 days or so.
Yep.
DFW.
Yep.
Assembly Required in November.
Yeah, but before that is Joe Lanta. I'll be at
And Joe Lanta. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna be scanning at Joe Lanta too?
Most likely. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Joe,
So there's your
the great thing about scanning is it's real portable.
Right.
Yeah.
Moving
3D prints across the country back and forth is not fun.
Yeah.
You mean they don't let you use the Shark as carry-on luggage?
Yeah, no way.
It
doesn't fit in the thing. It's too big. I fly Frontier. No way.
Just strap it to your back, man. There's your problem right there. Is flying Frontier.
Yeah, no kidding. But I'm right next to a hub, so it makes it easy. It's easy to get to Atlanta. It's easy to get to Orlando. It's easy.
That's true.
Baltimore.
That's true.
Out
Rocky Mountain way, Frontier is not a bad choice.
Yeah, no, it's still like my back already hurts just knowing that I have a flight coming up with them. It's awful.
So
like
the
plywood that they spray painted green. Here you go. Here's your seat.
You got to stop the plane Flintstone style. Everybody just puts their feet out. And... Anyways,
toes everywhere. Toes all akimbo. I don't remember what we were talking about. I got so worked up.
I wouldn't worry. We're pulling it into the station, man. We got your calendar out there. If anybody has any questions for you, wants to know more of the basics, of course, Mark's the 3D Joe Printing Podcast is linked up on our channel. If you go to our channel page, we are perma-linked to them. So be sure to follow them. They will be on the air. You said it was Sunday?
Sunday noon
Eastern.
Yep.
So
we'll be showing you how to work a little Fusion 360 and talking about O-ring Kickstarters coming up this Friday the 13th.
There you go.
Kickstarter. You know what? Hey, is Wordbergy still in the chat? Because I have a question for him if he is.
I haven't seen him in a bit, but we'll give it a few seconds to maybe scramble back to his spot. Yeah. But
there was definitely something. I was in the middle of saying something mildly interesting when all that went, and that's why I'm upset, because I can't remember what the hell I was going to say.
It was witty and charming.
It was. People were going to get weak in the knees and stuff, except different.
So while we're waiting to see if Berg's around, man, why don't you go ahead and give us your shout outs?
Definitely shout out to Mike Kleppinger, who I hope is, he's still in the chat. He's got to be.
He was as of a few minutes ago. He gave us a woo-hoo.
Shout out to him. Shout out to Artwan. Shout out to Chris Scott.
Uh-oh.
Back. I have a question. So last year at Assembly Required, he did a.
Uh-oh. It's starting again.
I know.
His kids are in the Snapchat.
Oh, they're in the Snappy chat.
Concert for us. Oh my God.
They're getting all their facey tweets.
Skyrim. I quit.
Well, look, it held on for the better part of 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Absolutely. Probably
right.
Throttled.
Yeah.
Ragtime Rob, go ahead, give us your shout outs.
All right. Shout out to Mark's internet provider.
Hello.
Right.
All right. Making the hard pitch to sell him some more bandwidth, obviously. Thanks to Mark and for Troy for coming on, and thanks to the studio audience for listening in.
Yeah, I'll reiterate Rob's shout out for our live crowd. We appreciate you guys showing up every week. It's a lot of the same names. We got a few new ones this time around. We appreciate you. Be sure you're spreading the word. Do all that cool YouTube stuff involving those buttons down below. Remember, it's cheap and it's free. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're actually seeing some growth in 2025. It's really weird. I'm not quite sure how to handle it. But we appreciate you if you're new. If you're catching us on the replay, you count just as much. We love you just as much. Be sure that you're doing the same things, hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. If you're watching us on the Facebook, and I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be live broadcasting on Facebook. They've really gone out of their way to be inhospitable over there. But make sure you're giving us some kind of a reaction. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a little huggy guy. We do love little huggy guy. And huggy guy crowd has not been busy tonight. We are short on huggy guys. I am not feeling the hugs. Give a shout out to, of course, to Mark and to Troy. I want to give a shout out to our wonderful friends and sponsors at Kokomo Toys. Real quick, we'll sing the theme song. Kokomo Toys. Kokomo Toys. There you go. See, Mark Gerwig, he's been on the show enough times now. He knows the Kokomo Toys theme song.
That's right.
That almost makes you an official substitute host.
Nice. Is there a T-shirt for that?
You know what? There should be. I never thought that would be a thing, but it's kind of a thing. So I should probably make substitute host T-shirts. All right, I have a project.
The usual suspects.
I have a project now. So I know last week I was cryptic in saying that we had ideas or not ideas. The future of the show, there were some question marks, and not long term, of course. We're still going to keep doing this. We're going to be weekly through the end of Yojo June, and then that first week of July we'll be fine. But then that next week we'll probably be taking that second week of July off because of my work schedule shifting up. And so the good news is we're still going to be on Wednesdays. Wednesdays at 9 will not change. We're in good shape there. So no more drastic, eruptions on your schedule, upsetting your entire social scene. What's on Joe Mind will continue to own the night every Wednesday at 9:05 p.m. Eastern. So just to end the question from last week. And that's all we got. Again, thanks again to the departed Troy McKee. That makes it sound like he's dead. I shouldn't say that. Our thanks again to Troy McKee, who had to leave early tonight, and to Mark Gerwig for joining us this evening. Round of applause.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out to Comcast.
For our audio only listeners, Mark mouthed something that was unfriendly. We'll just it
was Duck 2. He's petitioning for another Howard the Duck movie.
Right. Just they're doing 40-year later.
Can we get George Lucas back for it?
Right. Why not? What's he got going on? Just sitting on his giant pile of Star Wars money.
Just diving in like Scrooge McDuck.
Right.
That's right.
But again, that's all we got tonight, folks. Thanks so much for joining us here on What's on Joe Mind. We'll be back next Wednesday at 9:05 p.m., where our guest will be somebody. But nobody's confirmed yet. I've tried, damn it. It's not my fault this time. But yeah, as our friend Vagon likes to say, stay safe, and if you can't, be careful. We'll be back next week, and until then, have a great rest of the week, everybody. Yo, Joe. Oh, Mark didn't lock up. Always a good sign. Always a good sign.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. Got to leave on a high.